replaced all of my fiber intake with fruit versus vegetables. Is this a problem?
We can say food is medicine. Probably more universally accepted is food as medicine.
Okay.
Well, as an adult, I have found that one of the biggest factors or hardest decisions I have to decide every single day is what do I eat?
Food is fun and functional. Capital A-N-D. Like, food can be so fun. It's social. It's exciting. We talked about fireworks in your mouth, the flavors, the taste, the textures all coming together.
Muscly, like slender, in good shape. You would imagine they're healthy, right? And there's somebody at my local gym, fit person, passed away, like 30-something years old, 38, passed away.
Less important is the way the body looks. More important is the way the body feels.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Happy Caregiver podcast, where we share stories, tips, and wisdom to support caregivers everywhere. I am Sean.
And I'm Chris, and today we're welcoming a guest, a special friend of mine, Stephanie Carter, who has helped shape the health journeys of thousands of students, families, and friends. She's passionate about building healthcare and culture of happiness and eating right.
That's right, Stephanie Carter. Professional in residence and professor of nutrition in the Department of Health and Sciences at Utah Valley University.
And my walking buddy.
Walking buddy of Chris Carter.
That's right.
Stephanie Carter, Chris Carter, no relation.
No relation.
Other than friendship. Over her 25-year teaching career, she's taught more than 10,000 students about nutrition, women's health, chronic disease, and public health.
We're especially excited today because today's conversation ties perfectly with Aspire's brand new resource, Aspire's Cooking for One, a caregiver-friendly cookbook designed to make solid, solo meals simple, nutritious, and joyful.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
That's
but you know
intended.
what? Pun intended, because, eating is supposed to be joyful.
Yes.
It's supposed to be.
But sometimes it can be so overjoyful that we're eating ding dongs all the time.
Yeah,
And
that's
Red Bull.
true.
I've been there. Not great. Not a
Yeah,
great place to be.
not a great place to be, especially.
I find a lot of joy in filet, steak, and not vegetables. We'll talk about this. I replaced all of my fiber intake with fruit versus vegetables. Is this a problem? She's not happy.
Well, here's the thing with vegetables. We've all had poorly prepared vegetables.
Yeah. I like asparagus. I'll cook my asparagus on the Traeger with some salt.
Okay.
I like
Olive oil, salt.
asparagus on Sundays typically.
Okay.
Boy, we're going to really go off topic on this one.
Well, but I think here's the thing. There's a balance because you said it should be joyful. I love ding dong so much.
I've never seen you eat anything like
Well,
ding
there's a
dong.
reason for that because
Right.
years ago I changed, and I'll tell you, this is interesting. I know you wanted to start the show this way,
Yeah.
and I hadn't remembered it until you said that you've never seen me eat a ding dong. I felt like I had a lot of chronic health issues. My
Right.
dad had Crohn's disease, and that was a big part of his anxiety and depression. And back in the 80s,
Painful.
they didn't have a lot of the treatments they do today. So for him, it was miserable. And so I thought, well, I probably got that because I had stomach issues all the time, like pretty bad, to the point where everyone just knew, like, oh, like Vieira, doesn't travel well. And so, and I believed it had other things, like, I don't know, just stuff, couldn't sleep well. I changed my diet, like all the way from over here to Dr. Pepper and ding dongs and whatever I could grab real quick because I never prioritized food, never learned how to cook it. Just, my ex-wife's a great cook, so I got good meals there, but breakfast and lunch were garbage all the time. I was tired, I was fatigued, brain fog. Switched my diet, everything went away. Stuff on my skin, my stomach issue, I had 0 of them, and everything changed, and all I literally did was just eat well.
Eat well. I mean, it's the difference between feeling awesome and feeling awful, right?
Really?
Food can make you feel awesome. The food we take into our bodies can make you feel awesome. The food we take into our bodies can also make us feel awful.
So true.
And it takes a little bit of testing that in yourself to figure out, does this food make me feel awesome? Or are the foods I'm eating kind of contributing to the awfulness that I feel?
Well, as an adult, I have found that one of the biggest factors or hardest decisions I have to decide every single day is, what do I eat?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that this would be such a big
We talk
factor.
about this all
We do all the time. Like, I don't know. It's so hard to know what to prepare for dinner, how to eat, and especially in today's world, because you hear you got to eat macros, micros, protein, whole foods, organic. And it's so hard to just come up.
overwhelming.
It's overwhelming to know how to eat right.
Unfortunately, as a society, we've really overcomplicated food.
Why?
It just needs to be very, very simple. We think about food, it consumes our thoughts. We're all worried about what kind of meal prepping, what we're going to eat tonight, what's in it. But if we take a step back and go back to just the very simple tastes and flavors and textures and colors, food really was meant to be enjoyed. It's pleasurable. It's fireworks in your mouth. It's fun to try new flavors and cultures and seasonings, and we've really overcomplicated it. What's happened is we've stopped looking at food as the whole food, and we've broken it down to specific components. And honestly, I mean, that goes back to In the Defense of Food, Michael Pollan. That's a book I think anyone could enjoy. But his 3 main points: eat food, not too much, mostly plants. And then he goes in and says, eat the food that your grandma would recognize. The foods from the earth, the peppers, the strawberries. Like, oh, strawberries grow from a bush. That I can do that. I can grow that. I can eat it. I can recognize that. We buy our strawberries at Costco in plastic packages. So we've overcomplicated food. We need to cut back to a simple approach to food.
My grandparents had a big piece of land in Catesville, and they had strawberries, all sorts of vegetables. And when you'd go over there, and they had a lot of kids, so a lot of kids, a lot of grandkids, their spouses, and almost everything that was produce was from their garden. And we'd love to go to their apple trees and everything else, and like climb up and eat the apples. And I don't think my kids know that fruit grows on trees.
Fruit comes from Costco.
They're like, oh yeah, like Costco's the food store,
right?
That's where everything comes from.
That's where it comes from.
Well, we created a resource for people that's been helpful to me.
It's been helpful
as
for me
a
too.
40-year-old dad of 5, helpful for Chris. But today we're going to be pulling inspiration from the pages of this Cooking for One cookbook. And we talk about food as medicine and ways that we can use nutrition to better support health in general, especially for overwhelmed caregivers. If you are a busy dad and professional and have hobbies, and you're also caring for mom and dad, and you need to make sure they're eating well, we created the cookbook for you. So we invited Stephanie here because she's the pro on the topic, and we want to get into a couple things, including food as medicine. Take it away from there, because this is an interesting topic for me. Food as medicine.
Yeah. We can say food is medicine. Probably more universally accepted is food as medicine.
Okay.
Not to take away from traditional medicines that we have evidence that still help chronic conditions. But when we think in terms of food as medicine, we recognize whatever disease condition we have, chronic disease, the food we eat can make that better or worse for us, the way we feel in our chronic condition. So it can benefit us or it can be to our detriment.
Well, imagine
Super powerful.
if I never changed my diet,
Yeah.
but I started taking medicine for Crohn's disease, right? Or other whatevers. And I just said, well, I just have this thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we do is like, I'm not going to change my lifestyle. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to eat well. I'm not going to pay attention to how my body actually functions. I'm just going to keep shoveling in. Like, guys, what's the, now I forget her name, but like, I feel like it was my middle name. Little Debbie, best friend. Little Debbie was my best friend.
Sometimes that's emotional. Like,
I think there was a part of that. For sure. I think there was a part of that funny for sure. It was filling some void, but also it did cause other physical ailments.
You felt it.
How I was eating, right?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't getting what I needed.
No.
So I think it's interesting, food as medicine. You have a good question. I want to hear her responses to this.
What does it actually mean from a nutritionist perspective, food as medicine?
Right. So we live our lives, we experience things at different levels, but we find ourselves in a place where we have a disease state. It could be a mental illness. It could be diabetes. It could be, recovering from surgery. But the food we intake into our bodies will make the difference. Not the only difference, but a significant difference, particularly as it relates to our healing, right? So if we want, let's take, for instance, diabetes. The food we intake when we have diabetes will make our disease condition better or worse. That's a repeat. I hope that they can cut that out. And so the focus is on really intentionally choosing to put those nutrient-dense foods. Unfortunately, Little Debbie's are not nutrient-dense. They can be calorie-dense.
So good, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
Calorie-dense.
calorie-dense.
Versus
nutrient-dense.
nutrient-dense.
And Chris,
big difference.
Yeah, it brings up a good point. Sometimes the food we eat, as far as like it's medicine for the mind, right? We use food as reward often. I have this really big report due once it's submitted, or once I get this task done, I'm going to eat this. In our schools, we use that with kids. The class who wears the most purple on Friday will make you a pizza party, ice cream party. So learning your eating style is really important. There's emotional eating styles, there's stress eaters, there's social eaters. And when you recognize, what is the intention behind my eating? What am I using food as? I'm using food as medicine to heal my body in the ways that it needs. It's really powerful.
Yeah. I'll give credit to Tony Robbins, and I don't remember exactly who it was, but I feel like it was him. And he said, "Stop rewarding yourselves with food. You're not dogs." And I was like, well, shots fired.
Yeah.
But I take offense that I earned that day, right? But yeah, I think that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
But I also think there's some value in allowing yourself permission to enjoy some of these things along the way.
Totally.
Right? Life is a journey, and food adds to that journey. So it's our choices as to like, is it going to be a nutritious, but then you also have to sprinkle in a little bit of fun. What's your thoughts on that stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Food is fun and functional.
Okay.
Capital A-N-D. Like food can be so fun. It's social. It's exciting. We talked about fireworks in your mouth, the flavors, the taste, the textures all coming together. And when we give ourselves permission to eat unapologetically, we don't have to justify to anyone the food we eat. There's pleasure. There's joy. It's fun. Food can be fun, and it should be. But we also understand food is functional. It supplies us with the energy that we need. It helps us build bone. It helps us build muscle. Those two things can be true at the same time. But when we only look at food as function, or we only look at food as fun, we're neglecting the other part. We're missing the big picture of what food's about.
So what about phases of life?
Yeah.
Food for kids plays a different role, and somebody who's younger and developing. Food in your 30s or 40s, 20s, whatever, probably has a different role. But in our conversation, we're talking about 70, 80, 90 years old. How does food and their diet affect them?
That's an excellent question. One of the courses I teach at UVU is nutrition through the life cycle. And we start with pregnant moms and babies and infant, like child, adolescent. We work all the way up. We talk about nutrition in older adults. There is that part like, I just want to eat this food. It's nostalgic for me. It reminds me of childhood. This is something that my family enjoyed on the farm. And so we get into kind of what we call like food jags or food ruts, where we just traditionally want to eat the same things over and over. But at that stage of life, there still needs to be the function of food, right? We can't neglect certain foods just because we're older. We're just going to ride this life out. We still need to look at it intentionally, simply, and with purpose. What's the function?
Like an 80-20 rule? 90-10?
I don't know. The 80-20.
Again, like I'm speaking specific to our audience, which would be, I have kids, I have a job, I have other things going on. I've got to take care of my own home, my own household, but I need to make sure mom and dad are eating right.
Yeah.
Should I drop off pizza just to make sure I check the box?
Yeah.
Or, what is the recommendation? And we've referenced the book, which is, really why we made it, is food can affect your wounds and how quickly they heal. So if mom or dad are, they have a wound and you have wound care in there, not eating the right foods can either or can hinder that, right? It's to your benefit or detriment, as we talked about earlier. But is it 80-20? Like, what do you recommend for people who are like, hey, mom's across town.
Right.
What do I do?
Yeah. The pizza drop-off is a good idea, right? That's going to give them the calories they need. And calories are energy. They're going to need the energy to function. I personally adopt more of the 70-30 rule.
Okay. I like
70,
that.
30.
Giving me 10% more
Yeah, a little
leeway.
bit more, a little
I'm
bit
happy with
flex in that space where, 70% of the time or 70% of the food you're eating really is intentional. You're looking at it with what it can do for my body, how it can fuel me, make me feel well. 30% is enjoyment, pleasure, fun, right? And that's more in line with permission to eat unapologetically, no justification. And I think sometimes, as Chris pointed out, like we get so rigid in our thoughts about what food is. We really need to pull back. Oftentimes we relate food to our physical bodies, right? We're talking about it in terms of wound care, elderly, independence, quality of life. But less important is the way the body looks. More important is the way the body feels. Say you're recovering from a surgery and you want as fast as possible recovery. The food you eat will help recuperate the energy to let your body heal. But depriving yourself of food during wound care or surgical recovery.
Because I don't want to get fat.
Well, that's the word we don't say often. That's a word we don't, right? That's not a word that is received well from a societal standpoint. So let's frame it this way. It's less important the way your body looks. It's more important the way your body feels. Your body doesn't need to look good. Your body needs to feel good, right?
Yeah.
That's some concepts from the Kite Sisters. They have a book called More Than a Body. Your body is more than just the way it looks.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's, I go to the gym like 6 days a week,
Yeah.
and I'm around these people that are fit.
Yes.
Muscly, like slender and good shape. You would imagine they're healthy, right? And there's somebody at my local gym, fit person, passed away, like 30 something years old, 38, passed away. Not healthy at all. It was not like a random thing. It was like because of what he was doing to his body to make him look that way, died. And then a huge influencer in like another country, but like one of the most jacked guys of all time,
Right.
dead at like 35 because of what he was doing to look a certain way, when in reality, potentially, well, obviously a lot less healthy than you would imagine. And I think that's a good point of how you feel is probably a better indicator than how you look sometimes.
And when we get to the point where we're so focused on how we look that we're willing to threaten our overall being, right? Then we've lost sight of the simplicity of what it is for us, right? I eat so I can move my body the way I want, and not the other way around. I give myself permission to eat because I know it's going to give me the energy to keep up with my 5 kids and to be a productive member of society, right? But if I fixate too much on, I lose sight. If I fixate too much on what the intake is in a really rigid, regimented, structured way, it takes away the fun. It takes away the pleasure.
It's interesting. I did macro perfect for a year, like to the gram.
Wow.
Of everything. The three, you know.
So boring.
How did it feel?
So
That's accomplishment.
this is
That's a major accomplishment.
it wasn't boring. It was during the pandemic, so I was working from home.
Yeah.
It has been hard to get back to that in a real world situation, but it was my first exposure to like really starting a fitness and nutrition journey. I told you guys I never paid attention to nutrition.
Yeah.
So
My dad was the same way.
You went from ding dongs to macro perfect.
Like legitimately, I'm not kidding you. If you look at MyFitnessPal from like 2021 or 2022, whenever it was, every single day to the gram. If I needed 3 almonds, I'd go get it. If I needed 6 bowls of yogurt, like just to hit the macro, I would do it. And I felt amazing. I could run, like I did feel good,
Okay.
but it was a ton of effort. And I think that it changed my relationship with food. It changed it from, oh, I didn't even know what macros were. I'm like, sure, dude, I'll do the macro thing. And I didn't realize that it's 3, right? It's like your protein, your fat, and your carbs. And so it was great in education. And I am that way. Like if I do something new, I don't do it halfway. I'm like, I want to do this all the way.
All in.
I'm gonna really figure this out. But now, because I did that, I now understand a little bit more intuitively of what to eat, what not to eat. I understand now that it's a lot more about sugar intake than almost anything else. And so, you know, my dad, he passed away when I was 17, but his his dinner was Chips Ahoy with milk. I'm not joking. Worst diet of all time. And he wasn't a huge guy. He was like relatively like slender, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I adopted that from him. So
Okay.
thank you, Dad. It was great. It was a fun time in my life to just eat garbage all the time. I just didn't feel good.
You didn't feel
Yeah.
yeah, you didn't feel well.
Let's take this one step further. If someone could literally prescribe food like medication or as medication,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think that would look like?
So this concept has been around for a while. I mean, if we want to go back to the very beginning, the genesis of food as medicine, it can go all the way back to Hippocrates when he said, "Let thy food be medicine, and let thy medicine be thy food." We don't have an exact translation for that, but he's credited with it. So now we're in a space where like, yeah, let's adopt that concept again. And doctors are getting to the point where I've been telling you as my patient, make some lifestyle changes. And you're not taking it very seriously. I'm ready to write a prescription, and this is what it's going to look like. So the doctor writing a prescription for a nutrition plan really should look like, here's a referral to a dietitian, right? We listen to our doctors. They seem to be the authority for health, but the doctor's not going to be able to customize, individualize a diet plan that's specific to your health needs and your disease condition.
Don't doctors know everything? Do they know everything about nutrition?
A lot. Oh, they certainly know a lot. They know a lot about general well-being, but when it comes to specific food, that's the work of dietitians.
You mentioned something, and I'm just going to say it if nobody else will, but doctors don't go through a lot of education in nutrition when they're going through med school.
Right. A lot of med school, like the curriculum has maybe one nutrition class as it relates to chronic disease. A lot of curriculums have 0 nutrition classes.
So dietitian
Dietitian.
for
I mean, dietitians, boy, we're to the place where they're so specialized, right? They have their bachelor's degree. They're starting to require a master's degree, and they would look at the person as a whole and say, wow, these are the risks you have for disease. Let's customize. Let's get a plan that works specifically for you. The plan that's going to work for me is not going to work for you, right? It's that specific to my needs, and that's the work of a dietitian.
Well, that's a big shift, or a simple shift, but massive impact when you think about things that way. Knowing what to ask and who to ask.
Yeah.
Probably why we're running around in circles, because we're like, hey, doc, what do you got? What? It's a pill, please. The Ozempic thing. Like, what an I know there's people that need it.
Yeah.
But I know people that don't, and they're trying to hit a fitness goal, and they're using that, and they're telling me I'm falling asleep at 3:00. It's eating my muscle, like, and they're back off it, and they just put food back into their diet, wild, and they feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not crashing it. Like, and I'm saying crashing for like 3 hours a night.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing to like lose weight instead of just eating the right things.
In the nutrition world, we talk about if there was a pill, one pill that would help lose weight that didn't have side effects, whoever discovered that would be multi-billionaires, right? I mean, that's these new trends, these new drugs, these new medications. We're not considering the side effects, the way they crash, the way they feel. And we're losing sight, once again, of the simplicity of simple nutrition, whole foods, combined with physical activity. It doesn't have to be the intensity of fitness. We're not all training for Ironmans, but we can be physically active and eat good food with intention.
I like it.
Okay. So a little bit earlier, we were talking about how food can help heal our bodies. For example, with wounds. How would you apply this principle to somebody who has some chronic wounds?
So I feature on Wednesdays for my students, Whole Food Wednesdays. And I make a video, I show them the food, I show them how I eat it, I show them how I prepare it, I give them multiple ideas of how to put it into their diets. And yesterday's feature was pineapple.
Pineapple?
A pineapple.
A whole pineapple?
Just a pineapple. I recently returned from Hawaii, and pineapple is, it's such a vibe. It is. It really is. So I was showing students how to cut the pineapple. Let's not get lost in all of that. But the application was, what are the benefits to eating pineapple? Well, we know it's a low-calorie food. It helps with fiber, right? You said you don't like to eat vegetables for fiber. Add some pineapple. It's got such great levels of vitamin C. There's an immune system boost. It's got antioxidant properties, which is anti-cancer. But something specific to pineapple is an enzyme called bromelain, and it has been proven for wound healing. So who knew that just by adding some pineapple, wow, I have a wound. It's been tricky to heal. It's taken a long time. What can I add to my nutrition that will accelerate or increase the speed of this healing? Pineapple. Who knew?
Amazing.
That's wild.
It's not, that doesn't feel like a punishment to me.
Not at all.
Thank you.
But yeah.
Steak and pineapple.
Pineapple in paradise.
I love it. So, like, getting to the heart of this episode, managing disease, what have you seen when people actually shift their diets? Can it really change a diagnosis?
That's a really good question. Can it change a diagnosis? That's why we say the word like food as medicine instead of food is medicine. We might have examples of people who say, yeah, I'm facing this chronic condition. I mean, you say the word cancer and people bristle, right? Like, no. And so they're saying, I'm going to go non-traditional. I'm going to try to treat this holistically. This is my approach. I would never want anybody to lose the sight of the bigger picture, which is, that food can cure, that food can change the diagnosis just by that. That's why we like the term food as medicine. It can complement what you're doing. So take, for instance, if we're going to, talk about cancer, the bristly topic, when you're going through cancer treatment and you're feeling overwhelmed with the way your body's responding to that, the foods you put into your body at that time can and will make a difference through your cancer treatment, right? It can give you the energy you need. It can give you the stamina, the healing. The foods during cancer treatment are very specific and very important, and you'd be working closely with your medical team, the dietitian, to help you get the best feelings of the food you're eating for optimal health. Vice versa would be when you're going through a treatment like that. If you were consuming foods like, I'm sorry to say, Little Debbie's, Ding Dongs, Doritos, boy, we hit the D's on those. It's not optimal. It wouldn't be optimal for healing, right? The food you put in your body matters, especially when you're in a certain disease state.
Well, I think we should talk about the cookbook. You've laid a really great foundation of why and how and who to go to for more. We tried to create something helpful because we do understand, from a healthcare perspective, we notice when the difference between a patient who is eating healthy and has been eating healthy and one that hasn't. And we also understand that, like we've said a couple times, if you're already overwhelmed, and Chris and I are overwhelmed just thinking about dinner every day and like what we're going to eat for lunch.
Well, I've made so many decisions all day long.
Right.
My brain's taxed.
And you got to go to the store before and plan it out. And so it's like if you're talking about a meal and what you're going to have for the meal, you're too late. You should have been planning before. So it's all this overwhelm of just food. So the quick answer is, well, there's a Burger King down the street. I need to eat something because I'm crashing. I'll just go do that. But it'll never happen again. Just I wasn't prepared today. And then it happens the next day and the next day. So we created a cookbook for one. Duke is completely asleep on it right now.
Okay, here we go. We got this. Yeah.
I just want to hear your take on it, and maybe smaller portions so that things aren't going to waste and you're not buying a ton of groceries. This is something that can be made with mom or dad as they're aging. This is something that you can let them make. We've heard a lot of people they're like, I still love to cook.
Yeah.
And they're at home. So that's why we created the resource and wanted you here to talk about it.
Well, maybe even a single person.
Oh yeah, I love that thing.
Right?
Yeah.
That it's hard to know what to eat because if you make a really huge meal,
right?
Like most of these recipes are for 4 to 6 people. Well, I'm just one person. That means I'm eating this for 6 days in a row because I don't want it to go to waste. The portion sizes are too big.
And I'm not doing math.
No.
But
No.
I'll cut down a recipe into a quarter.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've already done that work for
It
you.
was intentionally made. Cooking for one, it's easy to double. It's easy to triple, but it's harder to go backwards and go, this is for 4. How do I make it for 1?
Yeah.
But they're also relatively nutritious. I mean, I'd
Right.
say they're like whole foods.
Yeah, Whole Foods.
And some desserts in there too, but
And some desserts.
yeah.
What a great resource. As I flipped through it and read through it, I'm ready to try some of these recipes. It really does capture the simplicity. And your title, Cooking for One, Simple Recipes. Don't overcomplicate dinner. You've been making decisions all day. Just keep it simple. But food should taste good, right? That is like a human right. Food should taste good.
Ooh, I like that. That's a human right that food should taste good.
Well, what other thing do you ask for but your last meal?
Right?
It's like, you don't say, what's my last outfit? I mean, I guess some people, but mostly it's like,
That's kind of chosen for you.
I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
But it's your last meal. I think that's an indicator of how important it is for us and what a reward. And in prison, that's one of the things they don't give you great
The
food from-
indulgence
I don't
before.
know. I don't know. I've never been. And I hear it's not great food in there, right?
No. Yeah, it should taste good. It should be this indulgent experience. So simple, delicious meals. That's what captured my attention with this fantastic resource. And these recipes are simple. They're based on whole foods, ingredients that we should have around. It's not overcomplicated. These are items that every household should have.
Like flour.
Like flour, like the basics. My students will often say, like, I don't have cumin, I don't have garlic powder. You can buy spice Dollar Tree, right? But these are the ingredients that we have on hand. Yeah, we could go get beef tacos at insert Mexican restaurant here or fast food restaurant here. But there's something about having the ingredients, making it at home, the freshness, the whole food, the experience.
Knowing what you're eating.
Knowing what you're having control over that, the sense of accomplishment, the idea that I am putting into my body simple and delicious ingredients, and it's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's very approachable.
Yeah, I love it. We tried to make it fun and, again, simple, delicious, obviously, but it's a good-looking cookbook. We wanted people to enjoy having it, and it's available where you're watching this podcast on our website. You can download some of these recipes for free. We'll just send it to you. Is there what's your favorite? If you were cooking for all of us today,
Okay, well, I
what are you
mean,
making?
dessert first.
Oh,
I'm in the dessert first. The banana pudding.
Mhm.
No baked dessert with bananas and vanilla pudding. So simple and so tasty, right? And again, yeah, it can be complicated. You could add so many ingredients to banana pudding, but there are listed here 4 ingredients, and one of them is optional.
What I just love is you gave me permission to eat dessert. Because that's
Yeah.
the one thing, like, if I'm going to, say, ooh, I'm going to cut out calories, I'm not eating dessert. But yet, you just said,
Yeah.
eat dessert first.
It's pleasurable,
Right,
the
it's pleasurable.
experience.
Yeah, I'm like, no way.
Here's something that's interesting. And, counting macros is whatever. The reason I liked it, the reason it worked for me in changing my relationship with food was that reason. If you plan your macros out, I planned dessert
Oreos?
every single day.
Yeah.
And Oreos are actually one of the
I
better
know.
cookies.
That's one of the things I've kind of been teasing you about is the
Yeah.
Oreos.
Yeah, like Chips Ahoy have more fat and more sugar than an Oreo, but every day I would plan out dessert. So I wasn't really going without. I was also never hungry,
Yeah.
but most, like 70 or 80% of my
But see,
food was
that's
dialed
my
in.
mindset.
I had
If,
dessert.
if I'm going to do these macros,
Yeah.
I have to make them all count, right? And that doesn't include dessert.
Yeah, you would think that.
You're cutting out the pleasure. You're cutting
You
out the
think that-
fun. You
Right,
think
and
that.
that's why counting macros is boring for me because there is no fun.
But
But you did find a way to do it.
but you said eat dessert first. You know what I would put into my macro tracker every day? First, dessert.
Is dessert.
And I'd work backwards.
Account, yes.
Because by hitting or not hitting your like it says you need this amount of carbs, this amount of fat, this amount of what I leave out, protein. So you make a plan and
Yeah.
it says, oh, you can't have, like, you need to adjust down the portion or this thing. So I'd start with the dessert. I go, how much more protein do I need? I'm going to add chicken. Okay, cool. Protein's there, fat's there. So you actually can eat whatever you want.
Yes.
That's why I love macros, because it's not restrictive. You're just controlling how much of that thing that you're putting in. And you can't go crazy. It's like a sleeve of Oreos. I had like 4 Oreos and I'd put it in yogurt or I'd just eat them or whatever. And that's not what I used to do with Oreos. I can tell you, it was a sleeve. I'm like, yeah, and it's not good. Yeah, it's not really.
So what happens when we deprive ourselves of something? That turns into what we crave, right?
Yeah.
And this idea, you can eat all food. There's not good foods or bad foods. I talk about it just even to my young children or even high school students. If we categorize food as good or bad, that translates to behavior like, I ate bad today. I ate pizza. I ate hamburgers. Like, I ate so bad today. I must be a bad person. Or if I eat good, right?
Right.
And that's this healing the relationship we have with food, right? We all have a tricky relationship with food based on our lived experiences, based on the experiences of others around us, friends and family. But the idea of no deprived foods, there's not a do not eat list. And even your example of macro counting, right? Start there and work backwards. I'm not going to deprive myself of the sweets and stay in this rigid place because that's what I'm going to crave are the sweets. You can factor anything
I
in.
eat more dessert than all three of them.
Guarantee.
Alyssa's.
I challenge you. I challenge you.
Really?
I'm
Do you
picky.
think?
I am picky with my desserts. I'm picky with my sugars. I'm sorry to say it's never going to be Chips Ahoy. It's never going to be Little Debbie's. Too refined,
Yeah.
too manufactured. But I will do homemade chocolate chip cookies. I mean, a buttery, flaky croissant is always going to be my pick. But it can't just be a Costco. It's going to have to be from an actual pastry shop. But we should have a dessert off. I think I eat more dessert.
This idea. Yeah. This is my favorite
Well,
topic.
see, that's the one thing. I grew up with two parents that have eating disorders. So my relationship with food is naturally cut out dessert.
Mm.
You know,
Good news for you.
good news for me, right? Unless you just open up the whole Ben and Jerry's,
Shouldn't do that.
right?
Yeah.
Right. But that's so I love this idea that you can enjoy your desserts. You do not have to take that. And that's what's so nice about this cookbook is that it's included some very simple, easy desserts to make.
Yeah.
Right? So you
Right.
don't have to deprive yourself. You can still eat well and eat something that is joyful.
It factors into that principle we talked about earlier, like the 70-30 or the 80-20, depending on how strict you want to be with it. But 30% of the food, 30% of the time, you're enjoying food for what it is. The example I give, we're at a social event and we see the piece of chocolate cake across the room and we're thinking, I want a piece of that chocolate cake. I want a piece of that chocolate cake. But it's bad. I've already eaten bad. I'm not going to do it. I should cut out desserts. And instead, we indulge on crackers and cheese and carrots and ranch dip. We may have consumed the equal amount or more in calories on healthy or good foods than if we just gave ourselves permission to eat the chocolate cake. So you walk over, you pick up the chocolate cake, you eat it. It's the mouthfeel, it's the flavor, it's the fat content, and you're enjoying that. You might not even chocolate cake for him.
Yeah, he's in.
I'm with you, buddy. You might not even eat the whole piece of cake. You might have 4 or 5 bites and hit satiety and realize I'm satisfied. I don't need to eat the whole cake. Why would I deprive myself of that? Is that how you know?
I do now, but I used to not to. You know, I would like deprive,
Mhm.
and then get a
Then-
piece of
and
cake
then
and
go,
then
yeah.
get sick.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, well, I already broke it. It's already like, well, because there was that a couple of years ago where you allow yourself one day of a treat day,
Mhm.
right? So you
Cheat meals, cheat days.
cheese meals. And so like on my cheat day, holy cow, open the pantry, I'd stock it up and I'd get, to the point I was sick. Right?
Yeah.
And that's not a good place to get to either. Right? Food is so important.
Yeah.
Like it just has so many different purposes in our lives. And we can get so focused on being so perfect in eating. I'm just going to do protein only, that when you get that cheat day, all rules are gone.
Well, it's
and it's just
interesting.
as much damage.
It's interesting because The Rock on Sunday,
Yeah.
it's crazy what he eats on a Sunday. Like stacks and stacks of pancakes with syrup. And I follow him and I pay attention to what he does. There's a lot of controversy if he's natural or not. Let's just pretend that he is. But his diet is dialed in through the week, and on Sunday he just lets it go. Full send.
Permission.
Anything he wants all day, and he'll post about it and things like that. And I have a cheat day, but I also have dessert every single day. And now I asked you the question of if you feel like you don't need to overindulge, because all I used to do was indulge for whatever reasons. And now I won't eat a full dessert. I just don't. I don't need to. I don't want to. It's not there for me. And I've replaced a lot of my desserts with like cottage cheese ice cream, which
Oreos.
I do have a couple Oreos a day, but now it's like this used like
That's
I mean,
sweet
what's
to
your
you.
take on this?
Yeah.
Is this yes or no? Should we say who it is? I don't know.
No,
I know these guys and I like them.
you do.
I like the bars and I like the guys behind it.
Yeah.
Good or bad?
So
I know you said not.
I'm not going to say good or bad, but how often do you, I mean, is it, do you eat it all
I have
all 3 meals?
like one a day.
Okay. So that's not all 3 meals, right?
No.
So it's a food we eat not often. It's not the only food you're eating. Sometimes our diets are, this is the only food you can eat. This is really regimented and really focused and dialed in, like you said. But
Look at
as,
those treats.
well, I think he sees the chocolate. He's
You hear if he hears a rapper at all, look at those ears. Look at those ears perk up.
treats for me.
Yeah. We're not opening it right now.
So what's the protein content? What's your goal with
I
that?
think it's 12. Let me see.
Okay.
17 plus collagen,
Okay. You got-
140 calories,
Yeah.
and like 6 sugars.
He's
but
really
then,
into this.
6 grams of sugar alcohol.
Sugar, alcohol, right.
But
Are you comfortable with the ingredients on that?
that's a great question. You told me what sugar alcohols are, and somebody said, "Oh, you should stop eating those because of the sugar alcohol." And I think that this is where people get tripped up. Is now I'm
I
like,
think so too.
I should stop. I should stop eating Built Bars. Period.
What's intuitive to you?
Love them. They're great.
Okay. Then permission, right? Just your permission to eat for you. You like what they contain. You like the way you feel. You like the way they taste.
Well, and that's why that cookbook is so great. Is it's things that you want to eat and enjoy eating, things that I want to eat, enjoy eating. My kids will eat it,
Right.
and we can make it together because it's so simple.
Simple, tastes great. It's outlined. The portions are there. It's the appropriate amount. It's ingredients you have on hand. It's not intimidating. And someone could open this up, pick anything here, and follow the steps and enjoy it. It's a great resource. I'm really impressed.
This has been a fun episode. We could probably have like 20 more about this, but to kind of wrap it up, you have recommended to make a commitment to eat whole foods as nature presents them.
Yes.
Make a daily movement making daily movement a priority, and to stay curious about your health evolution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Important things.
Very
Give
important.
yourself permission to eat good foods.
Enjoy them.
Yeah, enjoy them.
Yeah.
And start at the back of the cookbook
Yes.
because that's where the
Maybe you guys
desserts
should
are.
put the desserts at the front.
That's really funny. Maybe we should. Well, we're happy that you're here. We're so grateful. It wraps up another episode of the Happy Caregiver. Again, if you want a free copy of the cookbook, we've made it available for you. Just visit our website and download it. Cook it with mom and dad. Cook it for your family. Stephanie, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.